Welcome back everyone to our Virtuosys Getting It Done series. Today in our second episode we'll be focusing on the basics of backups. Backups are a crucial part of our fight against ransomware, where companies and organisations around the world are having their data held hostage by various groups. We hope that our layered approach outlining our 3 preferred backup methods can shed some light as to some simple and cost-effective solutions for protecting your data against loss or damage. Now to begin with, a local backup would be the bare minimum we would expect to see in any business. We recommend performing a disk-to-disk backup to a NAS device. However, if you do not have a NAS, even backing up to a standard USB drive would suffice and be better than having no backups at all. The advantage here is we've got redundancy on the server and the NAS through a feature which we call RAID. Please note that RAID is not a substitute for backups, but an aid which copies data across internal disks. In most cases, this method is fast and inexpensive for both backups and restores, ensuring that you've got some sense of security. However, the major disadvantage is that we are reliant on a single copy of your data. Should the situation arise where the server has crashed completely and we need to restore from a backup, if the NAS is failing, we wouldn't be able to perform that restore. And since it's our only copy, we'd more than likely have to start from scratch. Our preferred method for our clients would be to include multiple offsite backups in addition to the standard local backups. While replication to 2 external USB drives works well, someone needs to ensure that the drives are actually being swapped over daily. We could also look at adding a cloud layer to upload our entire system images or just critical work files such as databases. Along with the benefit of local backup to NAS, we also have at least 2 extra copies of our system images stored on rotational USB drives, meaning our worst case scenario we'd only ever be a day behind. Now if we add cloud storage to the mix, it will ensure that we have an additional data set stored in a remote data center. Should ransomware hit the server and travel across the network, encrypting our NAS and offsite number 1, we can still rely on offsite number 2 and or cloud storage to perform a restore, eliminating the need to pay the ransom. The only pressing issues with this scenario would be cost, both the initial outlay of the 2 extra USB drives and also the cost per gigabyte for the cloud storage. The second factor would be speed. Where is offsite number 2 drive located? Is it in a safe, at home, a satellite office? And how long would it take to download and restore from the cloud? If we're storing a large disk image, this would be dependent on our internet speeds. If it's single files only, how long would it take us to rebuild the server from scratch and then restore the data? You may think you can be offline for a day or 2 or even an entire week and still remain relevant in your industry. This is not the case for most businesses out there. Being down for a day or so would equal total chaos. In these cases, we could look at a failover system and a loan server ready to be deployed to cover all bases and minimize downtime. The advantage of having live data replicated to a standby failover system means that failure times and total times offline are drastically reduced. With the addition of a loan server, we can still be up and running by either using offsite number 2 or cloud backup should a disaster arise. While speed isn't an issue with a standby system in place and will only be a determining factor if everything on site is lost, cost is the only real concern here. Purchasing another system and also paying for a loan server on top of the costs involved to implement the backup configurations may seem to some costly. At the end of the day, how important is your data? For most, the peace of mind one gets from the above solution outweighs the cost, ensuring their business data is as safe as possible. There you have it folks, our 3 recommended backup configurations for any individual or business looking to safeguard their data, with a layered approach being the best line of defense against various problems your company may encounter. If you value your work, you should have at least a local backup in place, and remember, the more copies you've got of your data, the better. Thanks again for getting it done with Virtuosys. We'll see you next time for episode 3. Bye for now.